Hi guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. So today we are going to be doing some kitchen projects because we're in the middle of an ice storm. So I hope everyone's safe out there, but we had a really bad ice storm last night. The roads are yuck. And so today is just one of those stay inside days. And it's not time to start any more seeds. We just started a whole bunch of snapdragons and flowers and all kinds of wonderful, lovely things. And so today I thought is the perfect day to practice something that I'm trying to get better at, and that is making homemade sandwich bread. I have done it a couple times with mixed results. So I'm still on the hunt for the perfect recipe, an easy recipe, all-purpose flour, all the things. Just making it very simple, something that will actually be able to replace what we buy at the store without any complaints from tiny humans that live with me. So the first thing we're going to do is that. And then also I have some ground cherries that have been in my freezer, and it is time to make some ground cherry jam. I really like eating ground cherries fresh. They're kind of a tropical flavor, almost like a strawberry or something like that. It's just a different flavor that I've never really had before. And I thought this would be a really delicious thing to make into some jam. So I did find a simple jam recipe. A lot of them had like warmer spices in it, and I wanted this to be just a pure ground cherry one so I can try it for the first time. And if I like it, then I'll grow more. I don't grow these every year, but when I do grow them, there's an abundance. And these were volunteers this year. My ground cherries this year were all volunteers that came up and wanted to be planted. So anyway, we're going to make some ground cherry jam and also some simple sandwich bread. So let's get started. I'm so glad that you're here. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my mixer set up for making all the breads. So I've got my dough hook on. I've got my bowl. The recipe that I'm using, I'll link it down below, is actually I found this on the Farmer's Table, which is Roots and Refuge. Jess from Roots and Refuge, it's her cooking channel. So I'll link this recipe down below. It actually comes from Amanda Palladini from Welcome Grove Homestead. Now, Jess uses instant yeast. I don't have instant yeast. I have rapid yeast, and so I am going to let the liquids, I'm going to let the yeast get foamy before I mix in the dry. So I'm going to use the same ingredients, do it in a little bit different order. So her recipe says to add in the flour, salt, yeast, and sugar, add the water, oil, mix it together a little bit, let it sit for 10 minutes. I've done that. You can do that. It just, you got to wait for it to get a little bit more active since this is an instant yeast. So I'm going to do the water and the sugar, and then I'm going to add in the flour, the salt after. Yes, and the oil. Okay, so y'all get what I'm saying. Here we go. We're going to add the very warm water and yeast. Okay, 2 3/4 cups of warm water going in. So we're going to do, you can either do honey or sugar. I'm going to go ahead and just do sugar because I have it out for the jam recipe. So I have active dry. You can get active dry or instant. This one is active dry. This one's a new one. Okay, so we need 1.5 tablespoons. Give that a little zhuzh and let it sit for about 10 minutes till it's foamy on top. I'm going to get the other stuff ready to be added. Well, I got my flour and everything out, and then I decided that's going to take about 5 or 10 minutes to get active, although it's already kind of starting to bubble. So we're going to switch recipes to the ground cherry jam because that's got to cook for a while as well. So this is pretty easy recipe. So we're just going to add the ground cherries, add the lemon juice, cook it over low heat until they popped, kind of like cranberries. We're going to break them up just a little bit and then add the sugar till it thickens, cook till it thickens, and then put it in our jars. So first thing I'm going to do is measure out how many ground cherries we have so I can adjust how much sugar or lemon juice. Okay, that's pretty close. So this recipe calls for 3 cups of ground cherries. That was like 3 and a smidge, so we'll call that good. So 3 cups of ground cherries and then 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Okay, so this says to cook over low until they've popped and released their juices. So I'm going to get that on the stove. On low while we turn back to this. So now this is looking very foamy, so it is definitely activated, so it's time to add the rest of our ingredients. A 1/4 cup of avocado oil, just any kind of neutral oil that you have. I like avocado. Might have to refill this, but it'll get us through today. So 1/4 cup of oil. You're going to need a total of 6.5 to 8.5, depending on the temperature and the humidity and all the stuff in your house. So we are going to start by adding 3 cups of flour. And we'll see how it goes from there. Okay, so we're at 3. And we're going to go, we can go up to 8, but we'll just see how it goes. So this is 6.5. Okay, this is pulling away from the sides already, so we're gonna not add any more flour, but I am gonna let this knead for about 2 or 3 minutes, just till it's nice and soft. Okay, this is looking pretty good, although I'm no expert. So, yeah, feeling pretty good, nice and soft. Okay, this is looking pretty good now. So we are going to maybe, okay, I'm going to put this in the bowl. Oh, this just ended. Okay, little avocado oil spray on the bottom, little avocado spray on the top so it doesn't dry out. And then we will cover this with a kitchen towel and let it sit for about an hour to rise. Put that off to the side and focus on our cherry jam. All right, here's how we're looking. They're pretty soft. They're starting to release their juices, but I would have to push pretty hard to mash them up. So I'm going to give them just a few more minutes before I add the sugar. I'm going to give them a few more minutes so they're super easy to break up. And then I'll add the sugar and let it cook down for 15 minutes. All right, that's looking pretty great. Very easily smushable. Most of these have already popped. So I'm going to grab my sugar. Turn that on to medium and let that cook for about 15 minutes until the sugar's dissolved and everything is thick and bubbly. I'm going to use my steam canner because it goes the quickest and there's only going to be 4 to 6 little jars. So I'm going to fill up the bottom with the amount of water I'm supposed to and get it set on the stove. That smells so good. All right, so my kitchen is warm and this bread is rising quickly. So this is already doubled in size. So we're gonna get this out, form it into 2 loaves and put it in the loaf pan so it can do its second rise. Things are going quick. Now, this doesn't have to be exact, but this is basically half. So I'm gonna make it into a rectangle-ish. Then I'm going to roll it. Pinch it. Tuck the ends. And put it in. So I've done this where I take a whole lot of time to make sure these are perfect, and I've done this to where I don't even pinch the seams and put them in, and they've kind of come out the same way. So I'm not trying to be too precious with it. But these are basically 2 equal-ish loaves. And then these will sit, I'll put a piece of plastic wrap on them, and when they rise up and kind of fill out the pan and come just a little bit above the top, not like an inch above, but maybe a ½ inch, rise above the side, then they'll be ready. So we're at 210, we're looking for 220. We are almost there. Definitely want to keep stirring so it doesn't stick to the bottom. It has thickened up really nicely. It smells amazing. All right, that's temperature. So I'm going to get the little jars over here. We'll get these filled up. Okay, this is looking great. So we're going to get this spooned in our jars. And we're going to a 1/4 inch headspace. So this made 3/4 pints. So now I know if I grow ground cherries and I save them for jam, each cup that I have saved will make 1/4 pint. So definitely need to save a bunch, but this will be a nice treat. So let me get some white vinegar to wipe these rims, and we'll get these lids put on and then added to the steam canner. So the steam canner, I've talked about this before, but you can use it anytime you're going to do something for water bath, like jams, jellies, pickles, stuff like that. So this is already calibrated for my elevation. So we did some test runs and made sure that I marked it so where I know what the little red marker where it's supposed to be for the proper altitude and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on and it'll warm up and that little red dial will come all the way to where it's marked and then steam will start coming out over here. And then that'll go ahead and process for 5 minutes. And then after it's processed, I will let it sit for 5 minutes, take it out, put it on the counter to cool completely overnight. And then I will take off the rings and wash the jars and label it, and it will be good to go. So also my oven is almost to the right temperature and the bread looks like it's done rising. So let's take a look. These have risen beautifully. So we'll get them in the oven. So you can see that line, sorry, steaming up a little bit. You can see that the red line and the black line match up. So we're going to set our timer for 5 minutes. Been 5 minutes. So we'll go ahead and shut that off and let it cool down for just a little while longer. All right, time to get this over on the cooling mat. And we've got just a couple more minutes on our bread. All right, time to take the bread's temperature. I've been taking its temperature. All right, it's 199 and you're looking for 200, so that feels good enough. All right, so just as soon as these come out, you want to grab some butter and rub it all over the top. And that's how you get that nice soft sandwich bread like they have in the store. So you just coat this quite liberally. You can also melt it and brush it on, but that seems like an extra step for no reason. Oh, that looks good, you guys. Okay. We're gonna let this cool. Okay, is this absolutely cool? Absolutely not. Do I need to cut into it? Because I need to for my soul. Absolutely. Let me tilt you down so you can see. All right, so all right, not bad. Not bad. I cut that a little crooked, but it's soft. That's really good. It's soft. I love that. This will work. Yummy. Yummy. Pretty good day. I want to thank you guys so much for following along while we made our sandwich bread and our yummy ground cherry jam. I want to thank you guys so much for the likes and the comments and the shares. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have a whole lot more cooking and growing and chickens and gardening and all kinds of fun stuff to do. So can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks so much, my friend.